9. Welcome back. Focal Point AFR Talk, 888-589-8840. Take your phone calls on the Kmart ad and also on why you think the mainstream media has not covered the horrors of this Gosnell abortion clinic trial. He's on trial for murdering 7 babies and 1 mother, whom he butchered so badly in the late-term abortion that she died, gave her no help, and all of that kind of thing. So I'd like to know why you think the mainstream media is blacking us out. Kirsten Powers calling the media out on it, and they have responded. There was a little bit on MSNBC today. Jake Tapper's done a little bit. Anderson Cooper did a good segment, I think on Thursday night or Friday night, on why there were no inspections. 17 years, no health inspectors went by this clinic. And you know why? Because there was a pro-choice governor who was a Republican. There was a Democrat governor, Bob Casey. He was pro-life. When he was in office as a Democrat, tell me, and you say, well, you know, the Republican Party got to be a big tent. We got to have a big tent. We got to have a room for everybody. And I'm saying on the abortion issue, sanctity of life, absolutely not. There's no room in a Republican tent for somebody who believes that it's okay to butcher babies. None. Zero. Same with marriage. There's no room in the Republican tent for anybody that does not believe that marriage is the union of one man and one woman. The tent is big enough to include everybody in the world, in the United States, I should say. The tent is big enough to include everybody who shares our values on family, shares our values on life. We got a big tent. We'll kick out the tent pegs. We'll make room. We've got plenty of room. The Republican Party should be saying we've got plenty of room for everybody who shares our values on marriage and the sanctity of life. If you believe in butchering babies, you believe in sodomy-based marriage, your home is in the Libertarian Party or the Democratic Party. Plenty of other tents where you can go and hang out who actually share your values. Now, I want to say something very deliberate here in a minute. It may sound a little shocking, but I'm going to be very deliberate about this. I'm choosing this word deliberately. First of all, you know, realize what's going on in Gosnell's clinic, what went on there, and what happened, by the way, with the inspections is Tom Ridge became the governor in 1993. He's a Republican. He is pro-abortion. And when he became governor, the inspections stopped. So for 17 years, there was nobody showing up to inspect these abortion clinics because Governor Ridge wanted them left alone. He was afraid that if they did health inspections, it'd blow the whistle on some of this stuff and they might get shut down. He didn't want to interfere with the abortion industry whatsoever. So it was a Republican. That's the point I'm making here. It was a Republican that made this possible. Now, realize as horrible as what went on in Gosnell's clinic is, or was, and it's just horrible, almost beyond description, this is virtually no different than what goes on every day in Planned Parenthood clinics all across America. It's just a difference in degree, not a difference of kind. Remember, a lot of the abortions that Planned Parenthood does involve dismembering babies. They literally pull a baby apart in the womb, and they have to reassemble it. After they pulled everything out, they got to reassemble the baby on the table to make sure they're not leaving anything inside the mother. I got a story about Planned Parenthood getting sued because they left some baby parts inside the mother. That's gruesome. I mean, how savage is that? Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're aware that our president, Barack Obama, defended infanticide when he was a senator in the state of Illinois. He defended it 4 times. 4 times he voted against legislation that would have required a baby who survived an abortion attempt to get medical care. 4 times. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times. He kept that law, and he had the capacity to block it himself. He personally was responsible for blocking that bill on any number of occasions to prevent babies who survived abortions from getting medical care. What that was being done in Cook County hospitals, they were just being discarded until they just died through lack of care. No medical care, no attention, just throw them in a corner, close the door, and come back later after they're dead. And Barack Obama supported that. Ladies and gentlemen, what that means is that we have, and this is where I'm being deliberate, we have a president who is a barbarian. President Obama is a barbarian because he believes that that practice of not giving medical attention to a baby who survives an abortion attempt, he believes that that is okay. And in my mind, that makes him a moral barbarian. Well, let's go to the phones. Let's see what you think about either the Kmart ad or the Gosnell thing and why the media has refused to cover this thing. Let's start with Nelson in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Nelson, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind? Do we have Nelson? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go right ahead, Nelson.
I just got a couple of comments, and I'm going to hang up and listen to you, man. I love your show. I listen every day. As far as the ad goes, I think it's highly it offends me very much so, and it just goes to show the demoralization of this country. And as far as the mainstream media goes, I think the vast majority of it is just a synagogue of Satan. I mean, they show on a daily basis where they have no morals. You know, it's all from the devil. And I'm going to hang up and listen to you. I love your show. I listen to all you guys all day, every day.
Great, Nelson. Listen, thank you very much for that. You know, by the way, this kind of illustrates, leading into Share-a-thon, why I think it's important to have our listening audience support this voice, because where are you going to hear this? I mean, we've had a complete media blackout on this for 4 weeks. I've brought you details as they've developed. I've kept you abreast of what's going on in that trial. You've heard about it because you listen to Focal Point, you listen to AFR Talk. If you were depending on the mainstream media, the three major networks, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, you wouldn't even know that Kermit Gosnell existed. That's how bad their bias has been on this story. And I've got a piece by Megan McArdle. She's pro-abortion, and she's writing an apologetic piece on the Daily Beast, why I didn't write about Gosnell's trial and why I should have. So she says, I didn't write about it, but I should have. And she's explaining why. Well, to start, it makes me ill. I haven't been able to bring myself to read the grand jury inquiry. I'm someone who cringes when I hear a description of a sprained ankle. So she just wasn't ready for the gruesome details. So she's going on to explain about why in the world she didn't write about this, even though she should have. She's a liberal, writes for something called the Daily Beast. This story should have been covered much more than it was, covered as a national policy issue, not as a local crime story. The press has literally been AWOL. I could defend myself by saying that I wasn't aware that the Gosnell trial was going on, but that doesn't totally let me off the hook. I knew about the Gosnell case, and I wish I had followed it more closely, even though I'd rather not. In fact, those of us who are pro-choice should be especially interested. The whole point of legal abortion is to prevent what happened in Philadelphia, to make it safer and more humane. What happened in Philadelphia should never happen again, and all of us should be asking how we make sure it doesn't. I don't know the answer to that yet because I still don't understand what happened in Pennsylvania, but I will be working to figure it out. So there's another liberal that's leaving the plantation like Kirsten Power said, we got to look into this. Let's go to Shannon in Exeter, Missouri. Shannon, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brian. God's blessings to you, man.
Thank you, and return them to you.
Thank you. Hey, I tell you, this Gosnell character, this is exactly, and you kind of stole my thunder a little bit, which I think that's probably a compliment. That means great minds think alike, and if I'm anything like you, that's great. The simple fact is this Gosnell character, he is a murderer beyond compare, okay? And the very reason that God has raised up American Family Radio, okay, this is where the stand part comes in. We have to stand. If we don't stand against people like this, our country is going to be ate up from the inside with sin, with people that are following their own lusts, their own desires, and this is the consequence of sin. And we have to stand. We have to stand, Brian. This is why we have to support American Family Radio. This is why we have to fight the battle. We cannot let these people win.
All right, Shannon. Listen, I appreciate that very, very much. And you think back to Nazi Germany and the concentration camps. I've seen some documentaries on this. The German people that lived in those villages, they knew what was going on right outside the city limits. They knew it. They just didn't want to admit it. And one of the things that Eisenhower did is after they came in and liberated these concentration camps, he had guys there to film it, and he made the people in these cities walk past the piles of Jewish bodies to see the horror of what they had refused to recognize and to deal with. And it was those images. That's one of the reasons that I was graphic with you, just telling you the truth. I wasn't embellishing anything, just because it's the pictures that kind of break through the veil and reach us viscerally in a place where we can be touched and motivated to do something. Let's go to Hector, Florence, South Carolina. Hector, thanks for calling. What's on your mind?
Hey there, Brother Brian. How you doing?
Doing good, Hector.
Yes, sir. I'll make it quick as I can. You may want to carry me through the break. I don't know. But first, the Kmart ad. All I can say about that is the CEO of Kmart needs to resign or step down or something. And these ads are aimed at young people. Okay, remember this before I go to the next comment. Satan is targeting young people, the younger the better. He wants to win the upcoming generation, the generation before possibly, to win them over as quickly as possible. And whatever means it takes, he's going to use it. Okay, now, to the gazelle, our country plays with people too much when it comes to murders and so forth. Capital punishment needs to be reinstated full force in every state. And I'm going to make a comment. Not only should he be immediately executed without mercy, the mothers knowingly going in there, especially late-term abortion, they should be executed too because they're part of the murder. They know what they're doing. And I got a comment to make on the church. I probably won't have time for me.
Yeah, I think I'm about out of time for this hour, Hector. I'm sorry we're coming up against a hard break, but listen, I very much appreciate your call. And I do think when it comes to the abortion issue, the place for us to start with enforcement is with the abortionists. That's where we start, I think, with enforcement. I agree with Hector that this abortion doctor deserves the death penalty, and he may get it even in Pennsylvania. Focal Point AFR Talk.
America.